Okay, I am going to call this meeting to order at 2 o'clock. Natalie, can I get land acknowledgement, please?
Associated Students Incorporated at Sacramento State would like to take a moment to give honor and respect to the ancestors and to the diverse indigenous people connected to this territory on which we meet. The original stewards on this land belong to Nishnawin, Papween, and Miwok Native Americans. Keep them in your mind, carry them in your hearts, and we ask that you take a moment to consider your ancestors and your relationship to the land we are on. Thank you.
Thank you. Salma, can I get the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Please stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have a moment of silence?
No.
Thank you. Okay, Lisa, can I please get roll call? Thank you.
Pacheco,
Present.
De La Garza Garcia,
Here.
Udani,
Here.
Estrella,
Present.
Andrade Dominguez,
Present.
Ayub Galan,
Present.
Nickdow,
Here.
Minha Diaz,
Here.
Henschel,
Here.
Campbell,
Present.
Beltran,
Here.
Ulis,
Here.
Berea,
Here.
Babar,
Here.
Hebert,
Present.
Curry,
Here.
Gallardo,
Here.
Montalvo,
Here.
Lenmark,
Here.
Guerrero,
Present.
Gill,
Here.
Reyes,
Here.
Dunning,
Here.
Dalton, Rocha.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to be moving forward to approval of minutes of 10/12/2022 board meeting, 10/19/2022 working board meeting, and 10/20/2022 special board meeting. Is there a motion? No, I'm sorry, no motion. If there are no objections, the minutes have been adopted. Okay, the minutes are adopted. Next, we're going to be moving forward to public comment. Members of the audience may address the board on any item within the jurisdiction of the board or on any agenda item. If you wish to address the board, please sign the speaker identification sheet. When you are called upon to speak, step forward to the podium and state your name, major, clearly for the record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes and the overall time is 15 minutes. Those wishing to speak on a non-agenda item will be called upon at the beginning of the meeting. Those wishing to speak for or against an agenda item will be called upon after the item has been officially introduced to the board. Every agenda item will be open for public comment before the board takes formal action on the item. If there's any public comment, you may step forward to the podium and sign the speaker identification sheet. Okay, seeing none, we are going to be moving forward to our presentation on media and crisis communication by Ms. Anita, University Communications. Please, well, let's test the mic first. I know the mics like go on and on. Yeah, and you can absolutely remove it if that's easier
Oh, it's
for
okay.
you. Okay,
Is it? Yeah, it seems okay.
awesome.
Yeah. And then I'll make sure the clicker is working. Yep, it's working.
Great, you may begin
All
whenever you're ready.
Thank you all for inviting me. My name is Anita Fitzhugh. I'm the Public Information Officer in the University.
Can you talk into the mic, Anita? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Because we
Is it not picking up?
yeah, well, I was because our audience, it's being recorded, so our
Okay.
audience is able to hear it. So it might be a little bit like faded.
Is that better?
Maybe a
Sounds
little
better?
bit.
That's pretty close.
Yeah. Okay.
Better? Okay, I
Close.
will move.
Yeah, closer to the mic, as close as you can, as you feel
Okay.
comfortable.
All
Thank
right.
you.
I'll just kind of look this way. All right, so I'm in University Communications, Public Information Officer, and my primary role is handling media. So I always like to start a little bit, and it's nice to be in person, by the way, with a Q&A. Who wants to talk about what your thoughts are, what University Communication does, what the PIO does? Does anyone have any general idea of our department and the functions? Yeah?
I mean, University Communications writes articles that go on our school page.
Mhm.
And there are normally good things about our campus,
Yeah.
which I like. You also have like journalists, you have photographers, you employ students as well. That's the extent that I know.
Excellent. Yes, that is a majority of what we do, is we push out those positive stories. That's the positive side of University Communications, and later on in the presentation I'll talk kind of more about the reactive communications, which is usually kind of a crisis. All right, so I'll get started here. So, like you said, University Communications, the mission of our office is to raise awareness and build positive opinions of the university. We partner with our campus colleagues to showcase academic success and robust engagement with the community. We utilize a breadth of communication channels to share a strong, strategic, and consistent message with the greater Sacramento region and beyond. So of course we have our internal audience here on campus, and then we have a very large regional audience that we reach through media relations, and our articles and social media and marketing. And so that's all part of the department: news and media relations, crisis communications, multimedia, social media, marketing and branding, and like you said, the homepage. So why do reporters reach out to Sacramento State? How do they do it, and why do they do it? Some of the best publicity that we get as a university is our proactive media relations. So we hear about all the amazing things happening on campus, and we send out media advisories about those events and those initiatives to try to get the community to have a better understanding of what's important to us on campus and what's going on. Often we're inviting community members to those events. So it's great to have them here. So reactive media relations, local, national, and state-level reporters contact us for faculty and staff interviews, statements, and to localize news stories. So sometimes there's just a big story going on in the world, whether it's about elections or abortion rights, and the reporters want to localize it. They want to see what their hometown university is doing, with these topics, how it's affecting students, faculty, staff, and so we field a lot of those inquiries. And then the Public Record Act requests, those sometimes go through us, but we do have a wonderful department that we can forward them on to that promptly handles all of those PRAs. So media relations, as we all know, since March 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic dominated media coverage of Sacramento State. We were all affected, the campus was affected, and boy, it was really busy from the media standpoint because we have so many people involved. I mean, all the students and the faculty, and what the protocols were 1 week from the next, and so the constant change of communications and what we needed to get out to the public kept everyone very busy. And so with topics like that, the bigger overarching big issues that affect campus and our students, we work with the President's Office, with Student Affairs, and the Chancellor's Office, and we really try to coordinate these messages the best we can for our internal and external audiences to make sure that we really are a unified voice. It's always a fear that someone says one thing and then someone reads in a different publication or on TV hears conflicting messages of how things are being handled. And we work really hard to make sure that doesn't happen. It just causes confusion. And so we use traditional media, TV, newspaper, radio. We use social media, the university's website, to share all of these messages. And this is our homepage. It's a little outdated. I actually made some updates to the presentation, but I guess I didn't save them well. But our homepage is, of course, where we put some of those top stories. And so with the experts that I was talking about before, bringing in those expert voices, local and national news outlets turn to us for these interviews with our faculty members, with our staff, who are the experts in so many different areas, and we're fortunate to be able to have them on, different TV stations and quoted in magazines and newspapers, because of course it's a great reflection of what we have here, the talent we have here at Sacramento State. And these are very important positive public relations opportunities for the university. So my job as PIO, I get most of these requests from reporters. Do you have someone who can talk about this? Do you have someone who's an expert on this? And their deadlines are tight. And so, it's hard to plan the day because a lot of what I do is just in response to what might come up, in addition to what we're pushing out, and then sometimes in addition to whatever crises we have going on. So it can be really busy. So when you are dealing with the media, I think it's really important to remember that they are not the enemy. I mean, there's sometimes this natural kind of hesitation to speak with the media. And I'll talk a little bit more about how to craft your talking points and messages. But they really do have direct access to the audiences we want to reach. And so it's mutually beneficial. We need them, and we need them to share some of our stories and messages. So it's good to build those really positive relationships. And if you are being interviewed, take a moment to ask yourself, if I could write the headline for this story, what would I want it to state? And that can kind of guide what you're going to say and how you focus this interview. If you have in your mind, like, hey, okay, I'm going to be asked about this. I want to make sure it stays on topic. It would be cool if the headline read something like this, just to have it in your mind. And so that answer should be reflected in your key messages and any supporting information, which can include facts, statistics, personal stories, anecdotes. And of course, it's a two-way street, and so I kind of call this the interview Bill of Rights. You have the right to know who this reporter is. They should identify themselves, what outlet they're with, tell you very clearly what the story's about, what their deadline is. And then, yes, they're always on deadline, but you are busy too. And so, okay, I understand this is your deadline. I can speak at this time. Will that still work for you? Just work with them on when it's convenient. And it's always good to know, I understand what your story is. Thank you for sharing the details. Can I ask you who else is being interviewed? And that's important to know kind of the angle of their story. Is this a story that's really just focused on Sac State, or are you also going to UC Davis? Are you also, interviewing others who will have, different opinions and different things to say? It's just nice to know that you'll be one of a few or the only that it's interviewed on the topic. And if you're not comfortable with whatever the topic is, never feel forced to do it. You don't have to say yes. And if you are ever contacted directly and you're not sure, or you want to talk it through, that's where you can call me, and I'm happy to talk with you, create the talking points, anything to make you more comfortable if you decide to move forward. Because it's an opportunity, if it's a positive story, it's a great opportunity to deliver your story or message. And there are some great things going on, so usually it's positive. Okay, so you said yes to the interview, and you're having this conversation. There are a couple best practices for interviews. So one is flagging. When you're in the interview, alert the listener or the interviewer to the fact that what you're about to say is important. So some people are talkers. They'll just go on and on and on. Others are a little bit more concise. Say you're a talker and you said a lot of things, but then you realize, I kind of got off topic and I want to bring it back. You can use some of these phrases to say, I'd like to reiterate, and let me just say again, these are the 3 things I want to let you know. And then if you are hoping to be asked a certain question, you can use hooking as the answer to prompt a question that you would like to ask. So kind of at the end of what you're saying, say, ASI has a lot planned for this year. Of course someone would say, well, what is that? And then you can share what you have. Now sometimes you'll be doing an interview on something, and a reporter will take that opportunity to ask you some other things on campus, just kind of go a little sideways. And if you're not comfortable, you simply just go back to the key messages that you've created. You acknowledge the question and say, well, what I really want to focus on is this. And I can get back to you on the other part. Or you can send it our way. Whatever you want to do if you're not comfortable with that. But you can always kind of go back to what your talking points are and make sure you're in control of that message. So it is okay not to have the answer. I usually don't have the answers. I am always contacting people and bugging people for help. You know, there's no way I could know everything that's going on, and yeah, it's complicated. And so it's okay to say, oh, thank you for asking. I don't have that answer. Let me get back to you. And then you do all your research and get back to them. You can ask us. You can, find out the information from whoever the expert is. But never a reason really to say no comment or unavailable. I would say 99% of the time, there's some answer we can provide. You just have to dig a little bit. So you just say, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that question, but what I can tell you is this. Or I'll get back to you. I'm not sure I'll get back to you. So, news media characteristics. So obviously, TV, social media interviews is visual, and how you carry yourself is important. Pay attention to your body language, your eye contact, your appearance. Radio is really quick. I've always been so shocked that I'll say like 2 sentences and they'll say, thank you, that's all we need, okay. It's a little funny, but it's very quick sound bites for radio. And it's good to speak in sound bites for TV or radio. It kind of keeps it simple for you, and it keeps it simple for them. They get the information pretty quickly. If it's a print interview, those are definitely longer. Those are a sit down and, let's get a lot more detail, a lot more in depth. So TV, again, your face and body should tell the story. They should match your words. If you're excited about something, show it. If it's a serious topic, maybe don't be super enthusiastic. Radio, most interviews are over the phone. Like I said, very quick sound bites, 5 to 10 seconds is all. And silence is okay. A lot of people, we're all guilty of it. Sometimes if you get nervous, you ramble, you just keep talking. It's okay, you can just be quiet, You don't have to fill that silence. You can wait to be asked another question. But always assume the mic is hot. So another reason to just pause and just have it be silent a little bit instead of maybe getting into that trap of rambling and saying too much. Of course, like I was saying, newspaper, magazine, online interviews, much more comprehensive and detailed. So if you have the opportunity, if you're contacted in advance, say for Comstocks or Sacramento Bee, and we have great student reporters with the State Hornet, get an idea of the tone of the publication, what they're writing about, what kind of story it might be. Just a little research, on your end to be a little bit more familiar with who you're going to talk to. Don't say off the record. Just don't say it. If it's off the record, maybe just don't say anything at all, and then go to your key messages for any story. And I think I have been reiterating this a lot. KISS, keep it short and simple. Eliminate jargon, and this is always ha-ha in a university setting, but don't speak in acronyms, because besides all of us here, most people have no idea what all these acronyms stand for, so just, introduce whatever it is, and then you can use the acronym. Sometimes we'll get requests for comment about things that have happened where, it may not be in the university's best interest to be involved in the story. There was a case of something that happened at another campus locally. Did we have someone who could comment on this? Well, no, it's best to not get involved in some stories if we really don't need to be. And so I think to ask if it presents enough value to the institution is the part of reputation management for the entire university, and just to be judicious. All right, so that's the first part. It's a good place to pause, and I'll take any questions at all. Yes.
Can you tell everyone what PIO is?
Oh my gosh. And I did the acronym thing. Public Information Officer. Yeah. Any other questions?
Any other questions for Anita before you move forward?
Okay. So this is part 2. So part 2 is crisis communications. So would anyone want to comment on what could be going on now in the university that you would say, yeah, that's probably a bit of a crisis? Is there anything that you've heard of?
Roe versus Wade.
Yeah, those are hot button issues. Yeah, those are things that we have to stay really on top of and really aware. Not only what we're going to be doing as part of the CSU, but also who from outside might come to campus one day and decide to share their opinions. So yeah, that's a really important one. So a crisis is any event, issue, or situation that threatens to undermine the reputation, influence, and trust of our university. And what we do before a crisis can make all the difference in the takeaway of our key stakeholders. You know how sometimes you hear someone just keeps their head on a swivel? I feel like that's kind of my existence and a lot in our department. You always just have to be prepared for, you know, unfortunately, a negative story, a negative angle, or a crisis, and just be prepared to react. So, like I was saying, important to identify potentially contentious issues early on and to develop a plan of action, including those talking points right away. You can even go, if you have time, you can go so far as to develop an issues audit using SWOT, which are strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So university communications spends a lot of time on reputation management just behind the scenes. Just again, head on a swivel, just being aware of anything that could come up and ready to react right away. Examples, of course, of the crises are the pandemic, campfire closure, campus emergencies, and the other prominent stories. And so when those things happen, we prepare proactive or reactive statements to address these sensitive issues. Just to show the public and reporters that we're accessible, transparent, because if they don't hear from us and they don't get our message, they'll still do the story. So we might as well be part of the story and set the record straight and give the facts and be accessible and be transparent. So I always like to use this topic that is, seems a little old now, but it's a decent one. So there was an outbreak of E. coli. This is a national kind of crisis years ago for Chipotle. There was an outbreak of E. coli, and they were doing really well. But here's this really bad publicity. And who wants to go eat there after they've heard that there's this outbreak? So they lost the consumer's trust. Sales dropped like 13%. And so internally, obviously, there's a lot of thought that needs to go on how to move forward if you have this kind of bad publicity. So they addressed the matter through visible changes that they were public about with the food safety systems. And then back to transparency, they started really sharing what they were doing to make sure the food was safe to eat, and then they were on top of the health standards and keeping everything safe. But before that happened, this was the headline: there's a crisis at Chipotle. And I can't see that far, but it's negative, negative publicity. It's really not the headline you would want for your company. And so again, so they go back and they make all these changes, and fast forward 2018, the headline is Chipotle restaurant sales beat Wall Street, CEO cites recovery story. They turned it around. They turned it around by recognizing this was a complete crisis and then being transparent in what they were doing to address it. So here on campus, a few years ago, I don't know if anyone remembers, we had some issues with lead being found in the water. Of course, bad publicity, right? I mean, that's not what you want the headline to read. So I'm going to state, shuts off water fountains and sinks after high lead levels found. So then what was happening internally? Well, you take that information, and there were some water fountains that were replaced, there were QR codes that were placed, so you could use your phone to see when it was checked last, what the levels are. Risk management really met that head on and made a lot of great changes. And so just 1 year later, like this article's within a day of being 1 year apart, the new headline is Sac State shows what it's doing to assure safe drinking water on campus. So that's how, if you see kind of these companies that get all this bad PR, they're really working hard behind the scenes to try to get the headline to be much more positive in a very short amount of time. So responding to a crisis, the first 30 minutes set the tone. I mean, it's like wildfire. When bad news happens, we hear about it so fast, and the reporters want information ASAP. And so we gather the facts. Depending on the incident, we may be coordinating with multiple agencies and law enforcement. And again, that's part of just getting everyone on the same page from the get-go. Make sure you know who all the players are, who's going to comment, who's going to be the spokesperson, and then you share what you know right away, and who your point person is. And then on the side, we have a great social media team who's going to monitor all those social conversations to see what direction the story might be going. If there's trolls online, it could be anything. And so how to communicate in a crisis? It's the 3 C's. Control. We're in control of the situation. We know what's happening. We know what's going on. Competence. We have very competent professionals working on it. They know what they're doing. We know what they're doing. And then the concern, we care, and here's how we can help or you can help. Because that combination of care and concern results in credibility, and that's what we want. And so 4 R's of what to communicate in a crisis: regret, repay, reform, responsibility. This goes back to the lead in the water a few years ago. And President Nelson said, "We deeply regret that this has happened. But I don't regret," he said, "that we had an audit as a consequence. We now have better practices because of that audit. Among those improvements are the 8-2020 hotline to report potential campus hazards to risk management, quick response code labels on all the drinking fountains, and new campus-wide policy to improve safety in labs and shops." And if there's fault, admit it, take full responsibility, and we're going to do whatever we can to ensure it doesn't happen again. And these can kind of be those initial statements, even if you don't have all the facts yet. Say what you can. Always let them know you're gathering the information. Be someone they can trust to get the facts. And then, from a psychological standpoint, when you're watching someone being interviewed on the news, we all know. We can all tell if someone's squirming a bit, if they're looking really defensive, if their arms crossed. There are certain things where it's like, this person doesn't seem very credible. And so it's really important to put a human face on the crisis, and you fight emotion with the emotion. We're angry at those who misbehaved. We have sympathy for those who are harmed. We always care on campus, right? We always go back to making it personal by reminding people why we're here and that we care. That's been, President Nelson has been so wonderful with that, just being that person that is open and honest and cares so much. So that's been really nice. And statements should reflect the audience's interests and not just yours. So if the story is about the pandemic or violence on campus, the audience will be concerned about student safety. And in those statements we provide, in what we say, it's very important to say that that's, of course, what we're concerned about as well. So just a couple other tips to remember. The goal is to provide accurate and timely information, be adaptable to the incident, stay in your lane when responding to media questions. Again, I'm not sure what the answer is, I'll find out for you. Asking for support and backup early on in a big incident. Always be truthful and stay on point with the clear, empathetic messages. And that's my contact information. If you ever need anything, our Director of News and Communications, his contact information, and we're always available to help. So, any questions, comments, anything?
Thank you, Anita. Is there any questions for Anita? Your Bishop?
Would it be possible for us to have access to this PPT if you could send it to Lisa and Natalie?
Sure, yeah, you have it, right? Yeah, you have it.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions for Anita? Katie?
Where was your guys' office located?
Sac Hall, Sacramento Hall,
Perfect,
yeah,
thank you.
first floor.
Thank you, and then just remember to speak into the mic. Chris?
Yeah, if a student wanted to get involved with the public relations issues, how do you suggest they do that?
That's a good question. You mean as a, just case by case or as a job on campus?
Just case by case.
I
Would they
think,
contact your office?
yeah, contact us. Yeah, we'd have to discuss it further, depending on what it is and what the student would want to do. But yeah, I think there are definitely some good learning opportunities there. So yeah, just contact us.
Any other questions for Anita? Gina?
It's not a question, it's just a comment. I've worked with Anita and folks in university communications several times. And sometimes the questions or the interview is going to be complicated, like we talked about. How do we want to frame the university? And so I've taken the opportunity to go sit down with them and really work through like talking points and practice. So if you are ever in that situation, don't hesitate to reach out and get some help, because it can just, at the very least, the practice will put you at ease when it comes time for that interview, or when you meet with the reporter to get those, especially the in-depth ones, that they're going to be in print, they're going to be in-depth. They're going to be picking pieces of what you say, and you never know how that's going to come together. We've even talked about whether or not it's appropriate to say, can I see your quotes before you print them? You can ask. They might say no, but you can ask them to do certain things as a courtesy to ensure that the right information is being produced. So definitely use them as a resource. They've been extremely helpful to me in the past.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Anita? Chris?
Yeah, are you familiar with this like squirrel Instagram account that has become a kind of a pop thing lately?
Okay, so is that new? Yeah, I saw it, and then Fox 40 did a little feature story on that account.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Now, would you get in touch with that student to maybe try to like facilitate some sort of relationship? Because it seems like it's a popular thing, and that's what I was kind of getting at with my original question.
Yeah, so I was first aware of it, the first time I saw it was yesterday, actually. Someone brought it to my attention. There was a story on Fox 40. That was the first time I was even aware of it. So I haven't had a chance to like dig in and even look much. But yeah, we have a great social team also, and I would imagine they're aware, and sometimes they'll reshare things, or, if that answers the question. I don't know if they would get in touch with the student. I mean, I think it would be a super fun story internally, but yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, sure. It's really cute.
Any other last questions for Anita? Okay, thank you, Anita.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, now we're going to be moving forward to consent calendar. Are there any items that are moving to consent? I wasn't told, but just asking. Okay, awesome. Now we're going to be moving forward to new business. Our first item is 2022-23, 1039. Estrella Pacheco, University Committee Appointments. Is there a motion? Alexa?
I would like to move 2022-23, 1039 Estrella. I move to approve 2022-23, 1039 Estrella Pacheco University Committee Appointments. Second.
As been moved and seconded, is there any discussions? Alexa?
As mentioned during the working board meeting, I have appointed a couple of students. We finally got a student for Women of Influence Planning Committee. So that is really nice. It was a new committee that we were aware of. So I'm still working on appointing more students to the committees that we have left. The committees that are left are flexible with students, so it's based off their availability. So when you're talking to students, please let them know that it's based off their availability. Maybe you want to be on them for that.
Thank you. And then I believe Gabby, our office gal, she has an Excel sheet of the students that we needed, because I know that that was asked previously, and that's available to the G Drive. Okay. Is there any questions on this item? Okay, we're going to move forward to a vote. All right, JD?
I'm just curious where the NSM.
I'm just curious where the NSM diversity came from. I've never been aware of this one.
Alexa?
So this committee was like brand new, like they barely reached out to Lisa about it. So I barely found out this past week about it, but two students filled out the committee interest, and they were approved. And I talked to them and they were on board with when the meetings are, so I decided to go ahead and appoint them since they were looking for students, and it's a brand new committee that we found out about.
Is there any other questions on this item? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move forward to a vote. All in favor of 2022-23-1039 Estrella Pacheco University Committee appointments, please raise your hand. All right, you may lower your hand. All opposed, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. The motion has been adopted unanimously. All right. Now we're going to be moving forward to 2022-23-1040 Estrella Pacheco recommendation to the President for University Committee appointments. Is there a motion? Alexa?
I move to approve 2022-23-1040 Estrella Pacheco recommendations to the President of the University Committee appointments.
Has been moved and seconded. Are there any discussions? Alexa?
For these committee appointments, I will be appointing a couple students. For these committees, it's also based off their availability, and for many of them, they meet as needed as well, and most of them, start meeting in the spring semester. So if you have any students that would be interested in these, most of them are based off like budget advisory or like with fees. So if you know of any students that are interested in this or would like to get involved, especially to build their resume, this is an amazing opportunity.
Thank you. Is there any questions on the item? Okay, seeing none, we're going to be moving forward to a vote. On favor of 2022-23-1040 Estrella Pacheco recommendation to the President for University Committee appointments, please raise your hand. Okay, you may lower your hand. All opposed, please raise your hand. Okay, the item has been passed unanimously. The next item, I am actually going to pass the chair over to my vice chair.
Is this the only one we're going to do that?
No, there's three. That one. So, okay. Okay, so I'm gonna, Veronica, please come here, please. 2022-23-1041, De La Garza Garcia, Estrella Pacheco, internal committee appointments. Is there a motion? Laura?
I move to approve 2022-23-1041 De La Garza Garcia, Estrella Pacheco, internal committee appointments.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Laura?
Yeah, so there was 2 members removed from lobby court. Student Academic Senate looks like there wasn't any. Green Team, there wasn't any, and there was just a couple removals and then a couple additions. Some of the things that I already talked about last during working board, but nothing like super major changing. That's it.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Alexa?
I know that last meeting you mentioned that you were going to add a couple of students that you had missed. For the wellness one, I also had a student, Adil, and then I can't remember their last name, but they were already, they were like approved and everything to serve on that committee.
Laura?
Did you email me? Okay, that might have been on me. I saw this email with that student's name on it. Would we go about amending to add him? Or
We can just add them in the next cycle.
okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll move to the next one. Never mind, we're gonna vote on it. All those in favor, raise your hand. Lower your hands. All those opposed, raise your hands. Okay. The motion passes unanimously. All right, moving to the next one. 2022-23-1042, Andrade Dominguez, Estrella Pacheco, Faculty Senate Committee appointments. Is there any discussion? Oh, is there a motion? Natalie?
I move to withdraw 2022-23-1042 Andrade Dominguez, Estrella Pacheco, Faculty Senate Committee appointments.
It's been moved and seconded. There's no discussion, so we'll go right to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hands. All right, lower your hands. All those opposed, please raise your hands. Okay. So the item has been withdrawn. Moving to the next one, 2022-23-1043, Andrade Dominguez, Estrella Pacheco, Grade Appeal Panel appointments. Is there a motion? Natalie?
I move to withdraw 2022-23-1043 Andrade Dominguez, Estrella Pacheco, Grade Appeal Panel appointments.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Oh, no discussion, so we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hands. All right, lower your hands. All those opposed, please raise your hands. All right, the item has been withdrawn. So moving to the next one, 2022-23-1044, De La Garza Garcia Pacheco, operating role change to 200.1 officers of the Board of Directors. Is there a motion? Laura?
I move to approve 2022-23-1044 De La Garza Garcia Pacheco, operating role change to 200.1 officers of the Board of Directors.
Second.
All right, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Laura?
Yes, so we talked about this operating rule change, which is pretty much what constitutes as a strike. I invite you guys to look over it again. I changed the whole spring and fall like Sandra had suggested. I know that there was a couple other words that were just extra that I eliminated on there. If you scroll down
Oh, and then, I'm sorry, 2A, where is it? 2A, so this was brought up to my attention and I understand where it was coming from, so just to clarify it for anybody, because everybody interprets, certain information differently. It says director. Obviously that refers to the board of directors, but I understand how it can be confusing for some where it says, college director or executive member. Everybody here is a director, but I understand, again, there's like the college directors and executive members. So under 2A, I put a college director or executive member. Just to be as specific as possible. Another thing that I did add on here, it's under the attire, so proper attire includes business casual. It looks like that's 5A. I added your name tags because that is part of your uniform. You were supposed to have your name tags at all times. So, obviously if you guys don't have your name tags today, that's fine, but now it's in the operating rules. You are supposed to have that name tag. If there's any sort of problems with that, you need to bring it up to my attention. Email me, say, hey, can you meet? If you want to talk it over through email, I'll be happy to do that. But the name tag is part of, the formal attire. University partners need to know who you are. And, if they just, I have a tendency where I forget people's names the minute they tell me. If they have a name tag, it's like, okay, great, because I can just kind of peek down and be like, okay, that's the name. So that's also where that's coming from. And that's pretty much it. The rest of it's pretty basic. The whole 5th week, 14th week, that one I made it more specific. Again, per Sanders' suggestion of changing, instead of just a semester, specify the fall and the spring. And then the whole college director, executive member. That's about it.
All right, is there any other discussion or questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Okay, thank you. You can lower your hands. All those opposed, please raise your hands. All right. The motion passes unanimously. All right, moving to the next one. 2022-23, 1045, De La Garza Garcia, Campbell, Budani, allocation of strategic priority funding for 2.1.3, promote healthy living. Is there a motion? Laura?
I move to approve 2022-23, 1045, De La Garza Garcia, Campbell Budani, allocation of strategic priority funding for 2.1.3, promote healthy living.
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Laura?
Yeah, so this is, we took your guys' revisions on the whole healthy snacks, and I absolutely understand where you're coming from. I want to invite the members of this priority to speak on this after I'm done, but if you review this, there is healthier options. Thank you, Selma, and everybody else that inputted. I do remember that, and it does make sense. So if the chair allows, I want to invite Chris and the bishop to speak on this.
Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, so like we talked about in our last meeting, making decisions that are driven by evidence or that are data-driven are really important while implementing these priorities. And one of the effective things about this piece of legislation is it allows us to collect an SMOS survey and incentivize students to participate in that survey. And it provides healthy options to incentivize that participation as well.
Division.
So instead of doing a packet to be handed out, we are just gonna have those 3 options and people can pick what they want. If they have allergic reactions to anything, then they can choose a chapstick. If they can choose a chapstick, then they can just take a sticker in case there's restrictions to that. Instead of making a packet which would have exceeded way too much on our budget, like $600, $700. So yeah, that's how we got to that. And the health snack packets has like wedgie sticks and stuff like that. All healthy stuff. And that's it.
Laura?
And then another change on here, since I know that
we're very touchy with the giveaway. It is not a giveaway, it is an incentive opportunity. So that's, that's a change that we did. Stay away from the word giveaway, please. Piece of advice. I still have to remember it, so plug that in.
Okay, is there any other discussion or questions? Alexa?
I see that there's mental health stickers. Are these stickers that we're like buying on Amazon? Because I know that we're very, like, the university is very touchy on, like, when it comes to like having certain logos and stuff like that. I just want to know, like, what is it going to be, like a variety pack, or how is it, like, are they going to have affirmations?
Yeah, there are going to be affirmation stickers like "You're strong" and some just really cute stuff. And it is going to be from Amazon. We're hoping to get same day delivery on Mondays. And that's it.
All right, are there any other questions? Selma?
Do you know how much is left in our strategic priority fund?
Jervisha?
Right now, without anything else being passed, it's about $7,000-ish, because I still have to check how much you used for Java.
Any other questions or discussions? Chris?
Yeah, I just want to mention that I think these stickers are a really great idea because it's a low cost and effective way to advocate or promote mental health. And like Dravisha said, these are stickers that are kind of promote like good positivity and good feeling.
All right, any other questions or discussions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move right to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Okay, lower your hands. All those opposed, please raise your hands. Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Moving to the next one, 2022-23-1046, De La Garza Garcia, Ayub Budani, allocation of strategic priority funding for 3.1.1, support the anti-racism and inclusion campus action plan. Is there a motion? Laura?
I move to approve 2022-23-1045 De La Garza Garcia, Ayub Gulan, Budani, allocation strategic priority funding for 3.1.1, support the anti-racism and inclusion campus action plan.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Laura?
Yes, so obviously this one needed a lot of edits. I'll own up to it. There was a lot of edits, a lot of stuff that we needed to kind of discuss. I took whatever feedback that you all told me then in the notes, and I connected with Mia Settles Tidswell during the time of Pride Fair, kind of run her down through this, and then we got into like a small little email thread talking about how they can help us, how can they support us, how we can partner. And they have event planners that so kindly, I was connected to, and we're able to, get some guidance through there, which is, it's so much better because this is big and I have never planned an event to this capacity. So it is a little bit intimidating. And, there's stuff that I won't even lie, I'm very ignorant to because it just doesn't cross my head. So I'm very happy to have them and collaborate so they can, put in my radar something that maybe I'm not thinking about. Let's see. One of the important things, Speak Out, open mic night, November 14th, 3 to 5, and I got the Cottonwood Suite 1. I know that was I didn't have a venue then, I do now. SEO is helping with the graphics, and let's see, what else did I add on here? I know that I had missed the food. I was able to get some information on the food. Thank you, Lisa and Emily. I'm doing 1 box of hot cocoa mix. That's a 30-pack. That's from Amazon. And then the 3 dozen Epicure cookies are $3.99 each for a dozen. I'm getting, like I said, it says on there, 3 dozens. 1 gallon of water, that's for the hot chocolate mix, and 1 gallon of coffee, also from Epicure. And that's it that I added. Trying to remember if there was anything, because I know that this was, this was very not planned out. I'll own up to it, absolutely. It was not planned out to the best extent, so definitely if there's any suggestions, discussions on this, then so it's
Sandra?
Is 30 hot cocoa mix enough? I've always heard when hot cocoa is very popular on campus, especially now that it's getting colder, my suggestion would be 2 boxes of hot cocoa mix. And there's a couple of typos there where I see 1 gallon coffee, it's gallon, so it's like, and 3 dozen, it doesn't have a plural S. So.
Lisa?
I'm sorry, there may have been some misunderstanding in the information that we provided, but I'm not sure if we'll be able to purchase our own hot cocoa unless we get permission from UEI to do so. Most products, if we have an event in the union, they have to be purchased through a union vendor. So that we'll have to look into, and just want to make you aware of that.
Chris?
I just wanted to double check, with your venue that you've chosen, have you checked whether or not they allow paint in the room? Because you are using like the finger paints and things like that, do you know?
Laura?
The answer is no. And I should have.
Jervisha?
I would suggest completely dropping the 1 box of hot cocoa mix and just keep the coffee and water, that's fine.
I am almost positive that the Ethnic Studies Student Association hosted a paint event in that same room. So I would still double check, but you could also ask that club what the permission was like, because I remember attending that event and there was paint.
Chris?
I don't know if this is a viable option, but I do know Hornet Hospitality with their catering services do offer like coffee. I don't know if they offer hot chocolate like that, but if that is a viable vendor you could go through, I would reach out to them because.
Sandra?
And the more I think about it, I actually think you're way under on the 1 gallon coffee. That's like 10 people at max. I mean, little cups for 10 people. So maybe 4 or 5 people. I think you need more coffee, more hot chocolate than this. It's 1 gallon goes, like half of you can drink.
So I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm afraid that I'm gonna have a lot left over. That's my concern. I hate to say that I don't want to waste money, but I would just hate for certain food or drink options to go to waste. That was my concern, but I'm more than open to hear suggestions, feedback.
Jervisha?
I move to amend to give the EVP and Lisa the authority to change the items and the amounts as needed.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Okay. Is there any discussion just on the amendment? Chris? Jervisha?
So it will just give Laura and Lisa some time to like see if it's possible for them to have that or not, and then they can remove it as they want after we vote on the legislation.
Okay, any other questions or discussions on the amendment? Gina?
If it's amended with the flexibility to make appropriate changes, which I actually agree with, it's going to potentially increase the total. So I think we would need to take a look at what the total impact of the legislation is and make sure that we have an up to that has some room to do that.
Well, we have So the question is, can we change the up to? We can go lower but not higher because we did not notify the public that we want to go higher. So the up to, whatever we're at now, is what we're going to stay at.
Gina?
So that would mean that, Jerusha, just for clarification, in your amendment, would mean that they could only remove or lower opportunities and not actually increase them. Make sure everybody knows what they're voting on the amendment for.
Jerusha? They can lower it, they can stay up to 220, they can do whatever in the budget. There's that flexibility for them to choose what they want to do. They can just add another gallon of coffee because the hot cocoa is being removed, and it just has to be within $220. Z?
So I assume you would get rid of that hot gallon of water, because I know that's $22 you could work with as well.
Well, I think that right now, Dravisha said that Release and I are gonna double check on the hot chocolate. That's a good question. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know what to do. Alexa?
I think instead of like us voting today and then realizing that we like limited what we can spend on this event, we can possibly vote on it next legislation. I see that it's on November 19th, so it still has a bit of time for you all to like purchase everything.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the 14th, and so it would be before the next legislative cycle would be completed on the 19th.
Division. The next formal board meeting is gonna be on November 9, like only 9, not 19th. So it would be possible for us to vote on this. However, it's really important for them to place orders right now. Very important. That's why I said it's flexible for them to mess with just the coffees and hot cocoa, however it works out for them, and we can still vote on it and approve $220 for now.
It's amendable for next meeting.
Gina?
I know that the legislation seems close enough to make a decision, but not when it comes to ordering and getting supplies. So that needs to be done. It's probably even a little bit behind now. So we need to make a decision now if we want to give them enough time to order, not only the catering, but the other things for the painting.
And you will be able to amend it too at the next cycle as well. More amendments need to be made. Chris?
From what it sounds like, there's still a lot of like logistical things that have to be fixed with this. Is it possible to push this date back, or are you set on having it on this certain date?
Laura?
I am set on having it this day because the room's already been booked. And one concern here was that we were trying to get it to where it's not close to the Thanksgiving break. And then after Thanksgiving break, it seems like there's like this weird like time period where it's like Thanksgiving and then Christmas and then like finals somewhere in between there. So no, hopefully not.
Yeah, I don't think that you should change the date. Booking a room and all of the other like logistical things that you already have done takes a long time and you don't want to rush it. You do have about like $27 to play with if you take off the cocoa mix and change the gallon of hot water. So you could mess around with things like that. So I think it may be fine. ASI.
If there is a case where you need more coffee, is there a way that campus partners can help fund more coffee or more gallons of water? So we're fixed on our budget and then we can bring in someone else to cover the rest? Because I don't think a gallon is enough, even if we plan with that.
And also, just remember, you could increase the funding too at the next meeting. Division.
She can just come with the same topic name and she can pull out more money from the priority. It's just very important for her to pass this today so she can place order for that much for now.
So she has like a cushion, and then she can go overboard in the next legislation cycle if she wants.
Laura?
Yeah, I will talk to my campus partners. And board directors Chris, sorry, just actually gave me a receipt on Sac City Starbucks coffee. And I know it's not like super big of a difference, but in this one that I put on there, it's $19.99, and maybe Darisha, you can advise. And that's for 1 gallon, and then this one it's for 96 ounces. I don't know how many gallons that is.
It's a traveler cup.
Oh, so it's like the one box that, it's the one coffee box. So it's 4 of those, and it's for $17.95. So each.
That's per traveler.
Right. Okay. So per traveler. So $17.95 each. Total of. Oh wait a minute. You know what? Never mind. $71.80. Never mind.
That's 17 would be.
We're moving a little far away from the amendment.
Okay, so are there any other questions or discussions on the amendment? Z?
I guess in regards to like the prices, right, that's under the amendment, or the flexibility of it, no?
Sure, yes.
Sure, okay. So from what I understand, water is free if you purchase a gallon of something from Epicure. So I'm not sure why they're charging you $21.99 for hot water. Would then that fall under?
Okay, Gina?
It's hot water for tea, so then they provide all the tea bags
Okay,
and cups and things.
We're talking
so,
about authority right now.
so we're moving away from the amendment. Is there any discussion specifically on this amendment that we're making right now?
And the amendment is
And And just a reminder, the amendment is to give authority to Lisa and Laura to
adjust.
to make changes to the resolution as needed. So any other discussion on that amendment? Okay, so let's vote on the amendment. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Okay, thank you. Put your hands down. All those opposed, please raise your hands. Okay, so the amendment has been adopted unanimously. All right, back to the item. Are there any questions or discussion on the item? See.
So now this is where they're able to make those changes of prices, or not yet? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So back to like the whole tea and hot water thing. Are you planning on still having that tea, or are you just gonna stick to straight coffee?
Laura.
You know, I am not gonna lie. I don't know, because if they don't allow for the hot cocoa mix, then I guess I can alternate to tea. I'm just wondering then if it's going to be the same price for the hot water, but you just said that the hot water, or do I have to specify it's for the tea? This is hard.
Jervisha.
Okay, it's getting too complicated. All you should do is order coffee and free water, period. People who don't drink caffeine can drink water. It's just getting way too complicated here. And I guess you were planning to use the hot water for the cocoa mix, which is not allowed, so I suggest you cross it out. Or add more coffee.
Sandra?
This is just a PSA for folks. When you bring your legislation, make sure to price the items before you come here, because we're running into a lot of discussion here because these items have not been priced. So I really suggest, I also recommend to Laura not to look at gallons. They actually, Epicure has, or the Starbucks I've seen, they have the bins with the dispenser and stuff. You can price those. Those are more appropriate for an event of this scale. But since you'll have the time to amend it, and you will have to come back next session to increase the amount because I think this has been under budgeted.
Any other questions or discussions? Gina?
I was absent for working board, so this may be a dumb question, but for my clarification, this is a joint event with another organization. You have a partner that you're supporting in this endeavor, is that not correct?
Laura? So that is tentatively correct. I did make that at working board. I made the mistake of not partnering with those campus partners, and that was a discussion. And then I didn't have a venue. I had the time. I didn't have a venue. Honestly, I don't even remember. I don't think I had a title for this. So honestly, it was very poorly done. And after all the feedback that I got during working board, I was able to implement that. I know there's a couple of spelling errors. I'll fix that. But during Pride Fair was on Thursday or Friday. I think it was on Thursday. Okay, it was on Thursday. I bumped into Mia and I talked to her about this and how I would like to partner per Rob's suggestions also. And I was like, okay, yeah, this has to be done. And Mia put us in an email thread with the event planners, like their event planners on like their end. So the contact was initiated and I am following up. But I'm again super ignorant on like what is other stuff that I have to keep in mind, like besides food, more like resources. I reached out to clubs. Was it the peer counselors and active minds to be there in case of a trigger? But that's about all I have. Rob?
So I just wanted to make sure I understood Gina's question. I think she was asking if some of this funding was going to be shared. Was that what you were asking? No? Can you clarify?
Gina?
I want to know what SSJEC is. Because it's the SSJEC Speak Out open mic night that this whole rest of this is going on with.
Laura? Yes. Okay, you know, I realized I didn't add the parentheses. So over at the purpose and history, with Student Social Justice and Equity Council, I should have put a parentheses on there, because that's what that stands for. And then I just referred to it as SSJE since I introduced it there. Would that be okay? Or should I just like have the S says SSGEC and then the parentheses just throughout? Sandra.
So to answer Gina's question, this is being sponsored by ASI's internal committee, Student Social Justice and Equity Council, that Laura chairs. So this is the mandatory forum event for the fall.
Any other questions or discussions? Z.
So you're in charge of bringing all this stuff, or you volunteered to bring these things?
Laura, I need a point of clarification. What do you mean volunteer?
So, I'm not volunteer, but since it's a sponsorship, kind of like what Salma did, she said up to like this amount of price for Jamba Juice. Is that like kind of the same thing you're going to do?
Laura. So this is through, so Social Justice and Equity Council is a committee. It's an internal committee that I chair. Per operating rule, that I can't really quote what operating rule it is, but per operating rule, this council is supposed to hold a forum in the fall and one in the spring. What the joint Student Social Justice and Equity Council came up with was to hold this open mic night event. Now, committees don't have money. Committees, no. So the way that this is being tied into strategic priorities is going to be a collaboration between those strategic priority members, which on the strategic priorities, it's an all board responsibility. So honestly, really, you all could help me on this per strategic priority. But the members of the Social Justice and Equity Council are the ones that are at the forefront, and since I'm the chair of that committee, this is kind of like, and I don't even want to call it a loophole, but this is how we're going to tie this in and how we're going to support the anti-racism campus plan and how we're going to collaborate with Rob's team. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Selma. My event was not my event. I did a sponsorship, so that was Student Health and Counseling's event, and I only sponsored the Jamba Juice. So that's why we were only paying for the food. They're paying for supplies and everything else because the committee is the one doing the event.
Okay. Any other questions or discussions? Oh, Z.
So I guess for now, so we can like get beyond this, I would just take out the hot water, take out the hot cocoa. You got those $27-ish to work with. Add another coffee, and then come back next week with, if you do need more money, you can just go about it. So we won't go back and forth because I know there are still other items to talk about.
Chris?
Yeah, this price I gave you is per the carrying traveler coffee. So, I mean, you could double that and then allocate it.
Laura?
Okay, so finance is definitely not on me and how that works because I'm not an expert at it. So that's why I've been kind of eyeballing Dravisha and Lisa because I'm like, okay, I don't want to say something that I think I know because I probably don't. I'm going to be very honest.
Lisa?
Yes, I believe the amendment that y'all adopted would allow Laura and I to do those things, so we don't need to discuss it any longer.
Okay. Any other discussions or questions on this item? All right, let's move over to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hands. All right. Lower your hands. All those opposed, please raise your hands. Okay, seeing none. The perfected motion is adopted unanimously. Moving over to the next one, we have 2022-23-1047, Pacheco Badani, allocation of alternative transportation funding for Peak Adventures bike discount. Is there a motion? Selma?
I move to approve 2022-23-1047 allocation of additional alternative transportation funds for Peak Adventure Bike Discount Program.
Second. It has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussions? So
we kind of discussed this, we did discuss this last week at Working Board. So essentially, Peak Adventures bikes range from 500 to 1,000, and that was a move that they did in Peak Adventures where they felt like they needed to provide bikes that were better quality for our students, and they didn't feel confident enough to provide bikes that were cheaper because they weren't as good or didn't have the longevity. And so they came up with the idea of doing an alternative transportation fund to give discounts for regular bikes, similar to how we did the e-bikes. And so this would provide 75 discounted bikes for students, and they're asking to allocate $15,000 to this program, and it'll be $200 off on each bike that they sell in this program. And so if this is passed, the remainder of the alternative transfer fund will be $86,000. And this was a fund that was allocated way back when in the 1990s, I believe. But for the e-bike fund that was allocated last year for them, they allocated funds for 40 bikes and they've sold 36 e-bikes. And so it was a really awesome experience for students to get on other forms of transportation. So I like it. I think this is a great idea to provide a service for our students.
Okay, are there any other questions or discussions? Chris?
So I guess just for a point of clarification, it would take, so let's say the bike is $500. This would take $200 off that $500. So then it'd be $300. So it'd just take $200 off that total price of the bike.
Arbashi?
does this discount applies to e-bikes as well?
Sorry. So the e-bikes had an additional fund, and so that they allocated $20,000 for just e-bikes, and that was $500 off each of those bikes. And so that was $500 off of 40 e-bikes. This would be $200 off of 75 regular bikes, not e-bikes.
Tricia? We still have 4 more e-bikes left in the discount program, so if someone wanted to buy an e-bike, until we reach 40, they will still be able to buy it at a discounted rate. However, this one would only be for the regular bikes, and it will only be 75 additional discounts of $200 each. So until we exhaust that, there will be discounts. Chris?
I guess my last question would be is, how are you guys gonna advertise this discount, if any? Is it just gonna be in Peak Adventures, or is it more of just when someone comes to buy a bike, they're gonna find out that they have money off of it?
Laura?
So I don't know about the advertise, obviously this is not my piece of legislation, but to my knowledge, I know that Peak Adventures has their own promotions team. Do they have their own? They do, right?
Salma?
I believe that's Tanner. And Tanner does an awesome job at advertising things that go through Peak Adventures. And so they would probably do it similar to their e-bikes of how they promoted that.
All right, any other questions or discussions? Okay, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hands. All right, lower your hands. All those opposed, please raise your hands. All right, seeing none, the motion has been approved unanimously. All right, moving to the next one, 2022-23, 1048, Pacheco de la Garza Garcia, elections 2023, schedule of election filing deadlines. Is there a motion? Selma.
I move to approve 2022-2023, 1048 elections 2023 schedule of election filing deadlines.
Second. It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or questions? Selma.
So there's a few things that we have to go over. So this would be that the election packet would be available from Monday, January 23rd, 2023 through Friday, March 10th, 2023. The letter of intent would be through the same bracket, so January 23rd to March 10th. And then campaigning would begin on March 27th, which is a Monday. The election dates would be Wednesday, April 12th, 23, from 8 a.m. to Thursday, April 13th, 2023 to 7:30 p.m. The expenditure reports with the receipts would be turned in no later than Monday, April 17th, and then the last day to file an election complaint will be Thursday, April 20th.
Any discussions or questions? Okay, then we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hands. All right, put your hands down, thank you. All those opposed, please raise your hands. All right, seeing none, the motion passes unanimously. And I will turn the chair back over to Laura if there are no objections.
Thank you. That whole process is still kind of new. That was just a little awkward standing up. I apologize.
Okay, our next item, we have 2022-23-1049, Bulos Pacheco, resolution in support of California Proposition 1, constitutional right to reproductive freedom. Is there a motion? Hold on a minute.
The first motion we need is a motion to add this to our agenda.
Okay, and actually, this is new to me, and this is going to be entirely new to the board, so we're going to work through this. So, is there a motion to add this item to the agenda? Yeah.
So this has been requested as an emergency, so under the Romero Act and under your operating rules. For the Romero Act, in order for us to add it to the agenda so that we can even discuss it, the board needs to agree by a 2/3 vote that it has to be, that we're going to add it. And then under your operating rules, it will need 2/3 to also pass. But the very first thing we do before we can even talk about it is to have a motion to agree to hear it right now.
Okay, so what Tammy said. So we're gonna move. That was just a lot. This is new to me, just like it's new to you. So we're gonna move to a vote to. I'm sorry. Can I get a motion? Veronica?
I move to add
I move to add 2022-23-1049, Bolos Pacheco, resolution in support of California Proposition 1, constitutional right to reproductive freedom.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded.
If there's
Tammy?
So your operating rules do require that a memo be attached to say why. I can actually read it to you. The board member committee presenting the emergency legislation shall attach a memo to the legislation detailing why the proposed legislation is an emergency. Should also detail how it will be detrimental to the organization to hear the proposed legislation at a later date. The chair can allow that would be part of your minutes if you haven't provided that memo.
So since Lisa, wonderful Lisa here records our minutes, that's going to be the equivalent of a memo, right? Okay. Okay, if I allow it, and I'm allowing it. So Paul, can I ask her to speak on that as like part of the Oh, that was silly. Okay.
We're going to do that when we first we have to agree to add it to the agenda, so we can take that vote first.
Okay, so let me just okay. We're going to move to a vote about
adding it to the agenda.
About adding it to the agenda. So, all in favor of adding this item to the agenda, please raise your hand. Okay, lower your hand. All opposed, please raise your hand. Okay, the item has been added to the agenda by unanimous vote. Okay, so now we're just going to treat it as a regular agenda item.
Except when we vote, yes, we're going to read it again. Except when we get to the end and we vote on it, we also need 2/3 to pass it. That was the memo that was going into the minute. The minutes are being considered the memo.
Okay, so then our next item officially on the agenda is going to be 2022-23-1049, Bulos Pacheco, resolution in support of California Proposition 1, constitutional right to reproductive freedom. Is there a motion? Veronica?
I move to approve 2022-23-1049, Bolos Pacheco, resolution in support of California Proposition 1, constitutional right to reproductive freedom.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Veronica?
All right. So I first want to start by apologizing to the board and obviously to our constituents for adding this late. Obviously, it didn't get to go through a working board as preferred. But I did want to emphasize the importance of adding this to our formal board meeting this week.
And that's mainly because the election is on November 8th, and this is a proposition that will be on the ballot. This proposition is to add the right to reproductive freedom, which entails abortion and the use of contraceptives, to the California State Constitution. And this is the last formal board meeting before the election. So I recognize that it is not done through the regular legislation cycle, and I apologize for that. But I do hope that the nature of the resolution outweighs my mistake in putting it late. I do have amendments to make to it. Should I do that now? Okay. So before I read it through, I'm just going to make some quick amendments. I move to amend in the 7th whereas, where it says, whereas banning abortion disproportionately, right there. I move to amend and add, okay, so I move to amend and remove the and right before younger, so that and right before younger women. Is there any discussion on, wait, hold on a minute. Yeah, so just to remove the and then add something instead. Okay.
Give it to us all at once.
Okay.
Strike it or remove it. Strike it out.
I move to amend and remove the and before younger, and add at the end of the sentence after their 20s, add comma, gender non-conforming people, transgender people, non-binary people, and any other identifying groups.
Do I have to, is there any
That's the end of this amendment.
That is the only amendment?
No, there's more. Should I do all the other ones too?
Okay. We should take them one by one.
Okay, is there a second on that amendment?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussions on that amendment? Okay, we're going to take a vote. All in favor of amending and adding?
Can I just say on the amendment, I have to be specific? Okay.
But if we had it shown, then you could just say on the amendment, but we don't have it shown, so.
Veronica, do you mind reading what the amendment was again, please? And say it slowly because it's going to be, can you type it in, please?
You'll have to download a copy and then type it in. You can't do it in the live legislation.
I mean, it downloads a copy. Yeah. I can type, I can type.
So you'll have to save it as a separate document when you're done.
Okay.
Because that won't be.
Okay. So removing the and before younger. Yeah, that one. And then after 20s, put another comma because I'm adding just a section at the end of that. Okay. So we're adding gender non-conforming people, comma, transgender people, comma, non-binary people, and then comma, and any other identifying groups. That's it. Okay, so all in favor to add the amendment of deleting and before younger women and adding a comma after 20s and gender non-conforming people, trans people, non-binary people, and any other identity, please raise your hand. Okay, lower your hand. All opposed, please raise your hand. Okay, the amendment has been passed unanimously. What is your next amendment?
Okay. Next amendment is, I move to amend the whereas right below that one. Remove female. And then add after population of self-identifying women.
Is that it?
I think.
On that amendment, is that it?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, the amendment has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussions or questions? Okay, we're gonna move forward to a vote. All in favor to delete, the second whereas, to delete female and add of self-identifying women, please raise your hand. Okay, lower your hand. All opposed, please raise your hand. Okay, the amendment has been adopted unanimously. Veronica?
I move to amend the second to last resolved, and just instead of transgender men, so remove the men and just change it to people.
So strike men and insert people?
Yeah, strike men, insert people.
Okay,
Second.
has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussions on the amended word? Chris?
I would also add identifying to that, because in legislation wise, it's very important to have a word like that, because it does include as well as people who don't, because that might have been to the idea of trans identifying on like actual documents, where it's like they've changed their gender on documents or things like that, and identifying as people who have not changed their gender specifically on a document or any governing office to as well be covered.
Okay, so I believe that would be an additional amendment.
To add identifying in front of transgender?
To add identifying.
Transgender identifying.
Please, Chris?
Sorry, add transgender identifying, so in between transgender and people.
Second.
Yep.
Has been moved and seconded. Wait a minute, sorry. Okay, so that was a suggestion to you, or to this. Rob?
I have a suggested amendment as well in the resolved section.
The first or the second?
The first or the second resolve,
Sorry, the last result on the page.
Okay.
Simply that I'm noticing that Vice President of Academic Affairs and Provost is a dual title. So if you could find Vice President of Inclusive Excellence, which I believe is the third line down. Do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Right after Inclusive Excellence, before the comma, if you could add and University Diversity Officer. So Vice President of Inclusive Excellence and University Diversity Officer, comma, Mia Settles Tidwell.
Okay, I'm gonna back up a little bit. Thank you for that. That would be another amendment since we're still on the second to last resolved. So, Veronica, you were giving a suggestion.
Yes.
Veronica?
So I move. I move to amend by inserting identifying after transgender and crossing out men and replacing it with people.
Or is that?
Men was, that was already done.
Okay, so then.
We didn't vote on it, but it's part of the original motion, so.
Yes.
We'll do this amendment first, so.
Okay, all in favor of adding identifying in front of behind transgender, please raise your hand. All right, you may lower your hand. All opposed, please raise your hand. Okay, the amendment has been adopted unanimously.
I'm going to go back to the original amendment. Yes.
Okay, now we're gonna go back to the original amendment, which was to cross out men and insert people. Is there discussion on that or question? Okay, we're gonna go to the vote. All in favor of crossing out men and adding people, please raise your hand. Okay, lower your hand. All opposed? Okay, the amendment has been adopted unanimously. So, Rob, please hold your thought. I'm not going to forget about you. What other amendments do we have?
All right, so the last one that I have is to add someone to the very end resolved. But I have a question. I'm not sure if it matters where everyone goes in order, if there's an order or
what is your question?
Like, if, depending on their title, is there an order of like who they go in behind?
So that would be more of a clerical thing, and that can be done afterwards.
Okay, so I'm being told that that's a clerical thing and that can be done afterwards. This is again just for the sake of the people watching. That's how we're going to go about that.
So we can add a list here. If you have a list of names that you would like to add, go ahead and do them all at once.
Okay, I'm going to add 2 people. First one, or I move to amend and add Laura Swartzen. So Laura, and then last name is Swartzen. And the title is CSUS Confidential Campus Advocate. And add Jody Hicks. Title is CEO and President of Planned Parenthood Affiliates of California.
Is that all?
And then can I do the one that Rob? Okay.
Yes.
So add one more.
One more, and it's the one that Rob is doing, right? So. But she's gonna do it, and then okay. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. And then I'll add after Vice President of Inclusive Excellence for Mia Settles. Right before the comma. Adding to her title, so right before the comma. After excellence, add and University and Diversity Officer. You actually removed it in the end. So just University and Diversity Officer.
Okay, Rob, can I just ask for a point of clarification? Is that title correct, Rob?
Certainly, no. University, strike the and. Now you're good.
Mina?
So sorry about that. There's an and missing there as well. Vice President of Inclusive Excellence and. Thank you.
Hold on.
Okay.
Just repeat.
So we'll add after excellence and University Diversity Officer.
Are we all done?
So I'm done with all of my edits.
Is there any other suggestions? Adderall?
Just for the sake of confidentially, Laura Swartzen's name should be taken off and just say CSUS Campus Advocate, because her identity is not a secret, but she deals with a lot of people that are, like, public can see that, and Student Health and Counseling wants to protect her, like, her by not having her name out that much. unless really needed to.
Veronica?
I'm not sure, I mean, if that might be correct, but when I looked her up on the website, her name and all her information, everything was on there. So I'm not sure if they're trying to keep it confidential, why her name and everything would be on the website.
Is there any other names to add? I don't want to do where we derail from the amendment. Is there questions or discussion on the amendment of adding?
No, we don't have a second to it.
Sorry.
We don't have a second to it yet. We need to make sure that we have all the names. So people that are.
Lexa?
So I work closely with Laura because of the wellness committee that I chair, and it's Weave Confidential Advocate. So that's her whole title, Weave Confidential.
Salma?
I feel like we're working this a little bit too much. Can we Elmo this discussion?
So.
On the discussion on this, because if it's discussion. No.
Yes, and so we have two issues. You want to move the previous question, meaning you want to go right to a vote.
Yes.
In doing so, we do not have a second on this part yet. Are you?
I second.
Just adding the names. Okay, so
Yes.
you're seconding and then you're following that with a motion to move the previous question.
To move the previous question, yes. Second, and please move the previous question.
So now we need 2/3 vote to move the previous question. We do not discuss it. Moving the previous question means that we will end discussion on this amendment completely, and we are just going to go to the vote. So we're going to have two votes. One, to end discussion and go to the vote, and then if that passes with 2/3, then we'll go straight to the vote on just the amendment.
Okay, so Veronica? No, I'm sorry. No, sorry, my bad. Sorry. Okay, all in favor of ending discussion on this and moving to the voting amendment, please raise your hand. Okay, all opposed, or lower your hand. All opposed, please raise your hand. Okay, the motion has been passed unanimously.
We vote directly on the amendment, right?
Now we're going to vote on the amendment. All in favor of the addition of the names to this third resolution. Sorry, the third resolved, please raise your hand.
So this is, we are voting now on just the amendment that made the changes and added the names.
So let me repeat that again. All in favor of adding the names that were listed to the third result, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. Please lower your hand. All opposed, please raise your hand. All right, the amendment passes unanimously. Now, is there any other amendments? Veronica?
I just want to clarify, if the title's put in wrong, do we fix that right now?
Yes.
No.
That's
We can do that
clerical.
later.
That's clerical, so no.
No more amendments.
Okay.
So now we need to avoid the legislation if there's no discussions, right?
Is there any other discussions on this item? Chris?
Going back to not the last result, but the one that we just edited with, where we added the trans identifying people, I had a suggestion as well. I just thought of this. Grammatically, for again legal issues, it should be persons, but I know we just fixed that, so it's not really like important.
Grammatical error.
I think that's a grammatical error, so it'll be okay. Thank you. Any other discussions on this item? Veronica?
I would like to just read it out loud now with all of the amendments in there. Okay, So resolution in support of California Proposition 1, constitutional right to reproductive freedom. Whereas Associated Students Incorporated at California State University, Sacramento is the sole representative voice for more than 31,000 students at Sacramento State. And whereas it is the duty and focus of ASCSUS to represent and support our students and advocate for policies that would benefit the student body. And whereas in June 2022, the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization ruled that there is no federal constitutional right to abortion, overturning Roe v. Wade. The justices gave the authority to regulate abortion to the nation's state houses to individually determine the degree of which abortion rights would be protected in their state. And whereas, following the U.S. Supreme Court ruling, at least 17 states have fully or partially banned most abortions. And whereas Article 1 of the California State Constitution outlines a right to privacy but does not specify exactly what that right entails. This could lead to a misinterpretation of its protection. And whereas the implementation of California Proposition 1 would prohibit the state from denying or interfering with personal choices related to reproductive care. Proposition 1 would establish a right to reproductive freedom, which is defined to include a right to abortion and contraceptives. And whereas banning abortions disproportionately impacts women of color, specifically African American and Hispanic women, women from lower socioeconomic groups, younger women, specifically those in their 20s, gender nonconforming people, transgender people, non-binary people, and any other identifying groups. And whereas the population of self-identifying women at California State University, Sacramento consists of approximately 56% of the undergraduate students, 69% of the graduate students, and 54% of the faculty. And whereas Sacramento State is a safe space for all students, staff, faculty, and community through its partnerships with the Women's Resource Center and the Pride Center. And be it resolved, ASCSUS supports this proposition to amend the California Constitution and add this section to guarantee the protection of reproductive rights. And be it resolved, ASCSUS calls on the Sacramento State community to be informed of California Proposition 1. And be it resolved, ASCSUS urges the Sacramento State community to understand and recognize the impact it would leave on cisgender women, non-binary people, intersex people, two-spirit people, and transgender identifying people in California. And be it finally resolved that this resolution be distributed to Sacramento State President Robert S. Nelson, Interim Vice President of Academic Affairs and Provost Carlos Navarez, Vice President of Student Affairs Ed Mills, Vice President of Inclusive Excellence and University Diversity Officer Mia Settles Taywell, Director, Equity and Affinity Centers Strategic Student Support Programs, Eric Ramirez, Associate Vice President of Student Health and Counseling Services, Joy Stewart James, Pride Center Program Coordinator, Tran Pham, Chair, Women's and Gender Studies Department, Sujata Moni, Faculty Senate Chair, Adam Rex, California State Student Association President, Krishan Mohatra, all remaining 22 Associated Students Presidents, Laura Swartzen, CSUS Confidential Campus Advocate, Jody Hicks, CEO and President of Planned Parenthood Affiliates of California, and California State University Interim Chancellor Jolene Kester.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussions, questions on this item? Okay. Rob.
I one, I'm very proud of all of you. I think this is wonderful. So give yourselves a round once you vote, okay? Excellent job. Excellent job.
Thank you, Rob. Any other discussions, questions on this item? Chris?
I'm just gonna make a comment. I really appreciate that you took in for the transgender part. I really appreciate it as a member of the LGBTQI plus community. It is very important that words and specifications is very important, because if it's not, we are systematically taken out of conversations and things like that. So I really appreciate that being added.
Okay, and then comments I am going to table. Is there any questions on this item?
You can't do that.
If it leads to like the whole like, me too, if that can still happen?
Okay, scratch that. Sorry, I misinterpreted. Any comments? All right, any other comments, questions? My apologies. Comments, questions on this item? We're all learning. It's a learning curve. Okay, seeing none, we're going to be moving forward to a vote. All in favor of 2022-23-1049, Bulos Pacheco, resolution in support of California Proposition 1, constitutional right to reproductive freedom, please raise your hand. All right, lower your hand. All opposed, please raise your hand. All right. The motion passes unanimously. Alrighty, now, we're not done. So, we are going to move forward to college director reports. We are going to do something just a tad bit different, to where I'm going to give you 4 minutes. You don't have to use it all, and 2 minutes for 2 minutes for questions. Again, I ask you not to read your note to the Hornets, because, unless there's something absolutely necessary that you want to highlight, anything important on there, I'm going to give you an extra minute, again, like I said, to deliver your board reports, but you don't have to use it all, and an extra minute for questions.
So wait a minute, 4 minutes for them to give the report, and then an additional 2 minutes for questions?
Correct.
6 minutes total?
Correct.
Got it.
Okay. Is there any questions on that? Okay, seeing none, we are going to be moving forward to our first board report, which is Adderall Ayukalan, Director of Arts and Letters. You may begin speaking, and the time will start when.
Hi everyone. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, the month of October, it's not over yet, but so far it's been very stressful and very draining, but also filled with a lot of opportunities. Sometimes it's very hard to remember that I'm a student, but I'm starting to remember. But no, my grades have been fine though, just sometimes I forget. My classes feel like working, so it feels like I'm going to work when I'm going to class. But that's my little message, y'all can read it. Going to my internal committee updates, they've been going really great. We've been discussing a lot of changes and a lot of adding ons, which has been great. University committee updates, I joined Lobby Crop, which has Lobby Core. Scratch that. Lobby Core, and it's been really fun and excited, and I joined the right time because I had the honor of meeting the CSSA Assistant Director of Government Relations, Mary Washington, and I found her presentation being really inspirational and nice. Some of the strategic priorities updates, 2.1.1 has been completed, 2.1 has been completed, 2.2.2 has been completed, and I am almost done with 3.3.2. I have a meeting with Mike Dubb tomorrow, actually. And the strategic priority updates for all board, so far I've only done 3.2.2. I attended the CSSA meeting on Saturday, October 8th, for 3 hours. So that's completed, or I. which is really fun. I met a lot of like cool people, made like new connections. And then for my office hours, I've been doing a lot in a way. I created an Excel sheet on budget and contacted Lisa and Emily and had Javisha approve it. I've been working on this board report and also overlooking my joint council, which is up and going. Yes, that's finally happened. And then my meetings and appointments and all of the good stuff, October, that's kind of what I've been doing. And the thing that I'm really proud of is I was able to start a new program called Level Up, which makes registering for first-year students kind of easy. Again, there's a lot of things that you have to do, but I'm very happy that my dean allowed me to be part of this project and it's up and going. I have attended some presentations as well. She did one yesterday, I believe. I kind of started this position not knowing what to do, and I feel like now I know what to do, and I couldn't have done it without the support of the board, and allowing me to ask a lot of questions, a lot of questions, yeah, meeting with my dean every day, every week really helps, and I'm very thankful that my dean has allowed me to meet with her and check in, my associate dean. Yeah, and then towards the end, there's some fun pictures. That's it.
All right, thank you. Now we're gonna go to the 2-minute questions. Is there any questions for Adderall? Javisha?
What is one event or meeting that you attended that was really awesome and really good and that you loved during October?
Adderall?
I think attending the Iranian Middle Eastern talk in the Union, that was very great. The Iranian and Middle Eastern Center had Dr. A. Marie Wrenchbar come and kind of talk about the green movement that happened, which was a revolution that happened, I think when my parents were children, I don't know, but it was really inspirational, and I had the honor of speaking there too, which was also really nice.
Thank you. Is there any other questions for Adderall? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move over to the next the next director, Director of Business, AZ. AZ, you may begin.
Awesome. Before I jump into it, what's up everyone? Before I go into some of the committee updates and things like that, just wanted to express my gratitude to everyone on the board. I've ran through the mid-semester blues, but I'm starting to kick it, which is nice. Starting to get more productive and starting to get into the swing of things. So thanks to the board, the exec team, everyone at the OSC office and the College of Business, and all the other folks that have helped me through some personal stuff recently that's been going on. But jumping to the internal committee updates, finance and budget has been really great. We've been jumping through a bunch of presentations from our ASI departments. So the SEO presentation, the business office presentation, and the government office presentation went really well. I think that committee is really fruitful. I think we just finalized going through the student employment grant application, which is a huge thing for finance and budget for departments to seek funding from ASI. So that was a really awesome experience to be a part of. Jumping to university committees, I haven't attended any of those because they're scheduled. So the first University Enterprises Incorporated Bookstore Advisory Committee meeting is scheduled for Thursday, November 3rd, so I'm excited to attend that. Student Fee Advisory Committee is this Friday at 1 p.m. over Zoom, so super juiced about that committee and to learn about what's in store for that. Strategic priority updates, collaborating with the Alumni Center Association. We've been pushing that forward slowly, so we'll loop in some of the updates further along. For 1.3.1, the legislation was passed, so now it's just figuring out what the application for the student for that student entrepreneurship grant, what that looks like, as well as a rubric. 2.2.2 has been completed, and then 3.3.4 there are no updates. Some office hour highlights. During one of my office hours, I meet with my dean every single month. Interim Dean J.D. Balkrishnan has been super awesome just to talk about some of the DFW rates in undergraduate business classes that are before students are into the program. So we're jumping through and making a list of all those high DFW rate classes and trying to figure out why that is the case. Do we need to like up our staffing for tutors, and trying to work through some of those issues. Some highlight events from the past month. The Interim Dean, J.D. Balkrishnan, invited me to the Distinguished Alumni Award Ceremony, so I got to sit at a table with some really cool College of Business alumni, so that was really cool. Just to talk to them and to network and do all that. Another one that I wanted to highlight that happened recently was meeting CSU trustee Rodriguez with some of the board, which was a cool experience just to have that intimate conversation with someone that has influential power in the system of the CSU. So that was great. But yeah, I think another thing I'd like to stress to College of Business students, at 8 a.m. I'm scheduled sending something on the listserv, which is like the College of Business internal newsletter. So I'll just do ASI updates as well as College of Business updates. Last thing, I have the Business Club Union meeting this Thursday, which is a group of business clubs. We're going to be discussing how they can get more involved, what some of their issues are. What else? Oh yeah, shout out to BAP and the Accounting Society. I know they had their super big event, Meet the Firms, which is really successful. So if you're listening, then really great job on that event. That is it for me. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you. Now we're going to be moving forward to the 2-minute questions. Is there any questions for AZ? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move forward to the next director, Z, Director of Education. You may begin.
So hello y'all. Before I begin, I know a month ago I said like the whole personal issues about living situation. Fortunately enough, we finally found a home that is hopefully safe moving forward. But yeah, I just want to give y'all that update. So office hours still the same, contact info still the same. For this Wellness, Safety, and Sexual Assault Committee, I appointed the secretary, and we began brainstorming a planned event for called Speed Venting. We managed to figure out the date, time, place we would want to have it, and we've been discussing about what type of things to give in this little self-care package. So that is still in process, and hopefully we can get it done and approved and set up and all that, hopefully by November 14th. Yes. For my university committee updates, we started a while back the Parental Advisory Council. First meeting was on 10/03/2022. I went over a couple of things that I was surprised to hear, like the amount of children that are actually enrolled, which are 153, which is a lot, and like how 107 of them are like receiving state funds. So that's good, really good to hear, especially coming from like student parents. It can be tough. And I was appointed to the PAC chair, so that was also pretty good. In regards to strategic priority updates, for 1.1.1, just 2 weeks ago, we met with the triple SP or SSSP coordinator and the DRC coordinator, and we started talking about the possibility of having these future DSIG, I guess, applicants come over to the ASI departments and volunteer. But one thing we did discuss is we would want to get in contact with those different departments to see the different opportunities that are available for them to volunteer. So that's, luckily we got that whole, her staff of that strategic priority met. So now we're just working on the last one where we get actual more volunteers or, more volunteers to come on in and get their hours up. For our strategic priority 2.2.2, exploring placement permanently on the portal, my SAC State for Basic Needs. That one was completed, and it was around spring semester. Where's it being implemented? End of the semester. And same goes for the 3.3.3, exploring the portal information for ASI boarding program. The one, myself, the executive vice president, and the director of SSIS, for strategic priority 3.1.2, collaborate on cultural celebration. We are planning a big event for this upcoming semester, and sometime in February. We made some solid progress in this past week. So hopefully, by the end of this semester or even the next month, we have a lot of things already booked up and ready to move forward with. So towards spring, we're not as stressed. Office hours, I've been doing a lot. The main one I've been trying to focus on is my finalizing my ASI presentation, more so getting it to be recorded and include closed captions, because I know for the College of Education, we do have our ASL majors as well as our Deaf Studies majors, so it's only right we do the bare minimum of implementing closed captions on those videos to start sharing out to other online classes or even to the students that would want to have those closed captions.
30 seconds.
And then meeting events, you'll see on there, but yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Now we're going to be moving forward to questions. Is there any questions for Z? Gina?
On the two things that are going to be on the portal, the basic needs and the ASI board of directors and programs, are they going to be icons or are they going to be listed with text words?
Z?
Can I have Natalie answer that question?
Natalie?
So we've been working with IRT board, and they have approved for the CARES one to be an icon for sure, and they are still in the works of whether the ASI will be an icon or as the first permanent link that we see under student services. So they said they get back within a week or so.
Is there any other questions for Z? Thank you. Seeing none, we're going to move forward to our next director, Tej, Director of Engineering and Computer Science. Tej, you may begin.
Hello. Yeah. Sorry for the alarm, it was set for the morning. And yeah, it's afternoon. So office hours, special notes, and all of them are there. You can look at it. I'll make it quick, short, and sweet. So for the internal committee, you already know what's going on in the Social Justice and Equity Committee. In the University Committee, we talk about replacing some printing machines, then replacing software of the professors, deans, and the staff of all of the department. We are still figuring out. We'll do the survey and all the things. For the strategic priority, I completed one CSSA1. Then for 1.2.1, I talked with the ECS alumni chapter, and he will agree to come in the event that will happen in future, in the probably November, I think. Then we are still figuring out about the connection with the computers committee. No, strategic priority. In the office hour, I updated my bulletin board, talked with the dean, associate dean. I actually meet with my dean and associate dean every week, you can say. And yeah, this, I think 1st November, we have a ECS Joint Council kickoff event where Dean will be also there. For the meeting, events and presentation, I mostly around completed 18 ASI and the campus event and doing the 4 hours of tabling. I'll do more if there is a chance and I'm available on the time. I'm really glad that I was part of the VP IIT candidate interview because it's a really good way to know what the interview will look like as a professional on that level. So I'm really glad that. And also I was on the another search committee which calls the I forgot what is, I think AVP something for the facility management, and it's really going good right now. So for the one class president, which is CSE 21, I was before in that class, and when I talked to them about AS and all this stuff, it's really good because when you see the students which you are before on that class, it really feels good. So yeah, I don't have anything right now. Any questions?
That's my line. Sorry. I'm gonna open that up to you. We're gonna move forward to questions. Is there any questions for Tej? All right. Seeing none, we're gonna move forward to our next director, our Director of Health and Human Services, Chris Campbell. Hold up.
Okay, can you hear me? Cool. So I wanted to start off by reading a little bit of my special note to our Hornets. So I strongly advocate for student mental health and wellness. Being a student isn't easy, especially during midterms. During these hectic times, remember to take care of yourself. Don't defer proper sleep and diet while studying. Furthermore, remember that it's okay to not be okay. things become unbearable, seek help. There is a multitude of wonderful people and resources that aim to serve students and support mental health. Okay, so on the Anchor University Advisory Council, actually let me back up to the Green Team. So the Green Team has been very productive this month. During our first meeting, we had a presentation on a trash collecting robot that the College of Engineering and Computer Science is working on as a senior research project. So they're designing this robot to collect trash, and they're hopefully going to be able to test it at the Sac State Aquatic Center. Another thing that we're working on is creating signage that'll increase or it'll make recycling more accessible and easier for students. So we're identifying certain single-use products from the different campus vendors and then making a sign so students know what products from certain vendors can be recycled. On the Anchor University Advisory Council, we had a presentation from Stephanie Francis on the University College Corps program, which is a new program that's state funded, and it's engaging students with community service learning experiences, and it's also providing them a stipend, so it's kind of like a scholarship too. Okay, and then we're also brainstorming different ideas for this break. So strategic priority updates. We have started work on priorities 2.11, 2.13, and 2.14. We have introduced legislation for priorities 2.11 and 2.13. There's actually a correction that I need to make here. Instead of supporting both 2.11, it is second should be a 2.13. And even though we don't consider these pieces of these priorities completed, we have met the deadline for these priorities. Okay, so during my office hours, I planned ASI events, I responded to students, faculty, and staff concerns, and I worked on ASI strategic priorities. During my last board report, I didn't talk about the ASI kickoff event, but that was an event that went really well. It was a way to expo all the different resources, minor programs, and clubs within the College of Health and Human Services. And we had over 100 people attend that event. So some of the different meetings or events that I wanted to highlight is meeting with IRT chief officer candidates. It was really exciting to be a part of that process and selecting a new IRT vice president or chief officer. Okay, and then I met with Greg Shaw to discuss the Buzzly app because the college is considering to purchase the Buzzly app and implementing that. And then I also met with the CHPPR, which is the Center of Health Policy and Research Advisory Council. And we discussed some of the different research initiatives going on within the college that include a long-term COVID study, and we're also working on post-traumatic growth development.
Thank you. Now we're going to be moving forward to the questions. Is there any questions for Chris? Z.
Is there anything else you would like to say or add on?
Chris?
Yeah, so it's just, I attended the ASI classroom presentation with Dr. Ed Mills' class, and that went really well. It was really great talking to some of the younger students or freshman students and then educating them on the different ASI resources that are available. And then I also met with CSU trustee Rodriguez and discussed some of the issues that are important to Sac State students and how she could help advocate on her end. And lastly, I attended a Sac State football game. That went really well. It was a great game, went to overtime, and I really encourage you guys all to attend this next homecoming game. We're doing so good. It's the first time the team has been undefeated or been 7-0 in program's history. So yeah.
Thank you. It was a really good game. Is there any other questions for Chris with the minute and 5 seconds that he has? Great. Seeing none, we're going to move forward to the next director, JD, Director of Natural Science and Mathematics. JD, you may begin.
Hello. So during office hours, I was able to plan my kickoff event with the Director of Education. Our kickoff event is scheduled for October 31st from 12 to 2 p.m. in Redwood Room in University Union. We'll have pizza, soda, candy, and games as well. So I'd appreciate if you shared this with students and on your social medias. Committee updates for the Wellness, Safety, and Sexual Assault Awareness. I was unable to attend the meeting on October 6th, but on October 20th, we discussed the planning of our upcoming event in November, speed venting. We gathered questions that we're going to ask, as well as getting ideas for the goodie bags. For the Alcohol Advisory Committee, we met in October. It was a really successful first meeting. We discussed campus updates, issues on alcohol, especially, and as well as rainbow fentanyl. And we also brought up the discussion of having Narcan around campus. That's in the works. They talked about that and the possibilities of that. And then the Grade Appeal Committee, this one has been really long. There's a lot of paperwork that I have read through. So there's 2 faculty members to 1 student. And I have met with Alan, who was the veteran of the committee. So we dismissed 2 of the appeals, and 1 we are waiting to hear from the professor. So basically that process works after they're dismissed, they're basically dismissed. But the 1 we're waiting to hear from the professor, they have 10 days to get back to us, and then the student has the opportunity to rebuttal on the grade. In October, I was able to kick off, have my first meeting for my joint council. We have a total of 17 members, as well as a full leadership board. On October 4th, I had the opportunity to meet with the academic council meeting with the department chairs in my college, which was a great opportunity because I gained their support for my joint council. And then another thing, I've been meeting club officer presidents, which has been such a good opportunity because I had the pleasure of helping the astronomy club promote their event for their planetarium public showing, which was a good opportunity. So I recommend if we'll have another one next month, and I will send out more information. Be able to go to the planetarium, it's a super great experience. It was also a lot of fun. And then I also got to help set up at the NSM Student Research Symposium. I set up, Tej helped as well. And we set up about 87 easels, which was quite hectic. It was pretty hard. So got to help with that and kind of explore what the students have been up to. And then that's pretty much all I have. Oh, and then I did 2 presentations. I did the IFC meeting with Veronica, and then with Tej, we did the classroom presentation as well. And I think that is all. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Now we're going to move forward to the questions. Is there any questions for Judy? All right. Now we're going to move to our Director of Social Sciences and Interdisciplinary Studies, Veronica Bulos.
All right, thank you. So everything with the office hours and the contact information is the same. So going into internal committees, for Student Academic Senate, so we met on the 7th, that was our second committee meeting, and we had some new members, so we just had them introduce themselves, and then we discussed AB 928 some more, and kind of took a stance on the proposal, and then obviously brought it to the board with everything and voted on that. On the 21st, we had our third meeting, and we actually decided on 3 priorities that we're going to take up this semester as a committee. We chose the attendance policy, diversity and inclusion, and then the grading policy. And then we also conducted elections for vice chair and secretary. Moving over to university committees, for academic policies committee, we kind of did what we did in the last meetings, where we discussed more about AB 928 for the first meeting, and then also we looked over the referrals from the Senate Executive Committee. And then for the Committee on Diversity and Equity, that was the first meeting, so we had some introductions, and then we discussed issues on campus. I did ask them to assist us with the priority 3.1.2 to collaborate on a cultural celebration, and we discussed having someone from the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion come to our next meeting to see if there was a possible partnership that we could arrange. And we were thinking of doing a celebration for each Heritage Month, and then we also did some elections for vice chair as well. Strategic priorities for the portals, those are pretty much completed. They're just getting everything finalized with that. And then for the clothing drive, we're going to work with the Alumni Center to see if we can partner with them for that. And then let's see. For the cultural celebration, as Z said, we are planning an event for the spring semester where we're looking to have like a fashion show and then performances from different cultures, and then even food if we're able to get that. And then moving to office hours, we planned our joint council kickoff event. I worked on legislation, and I worked with the officers of the joint council, sent emails, and then worked on the strategic priorities. And then for October, I went to committee meetings, then I went to the CSA plenary meeting, which was really interesting and fun. We had our joint council kickoff event on the 10th, which was really successful, and we had also over 100 people come in, so that was really fun. We also went to the Title IX system-wide assessment meeting on the 11th, where we talked about issues on campus and how students are not informed of where the office is or anything like that, and how to improve that. I also went to the Chicanx like performance on campus, which was really, really fun as well. And then I did the Safe Zone training, some more committee meetings, and I met with the CSU trustee Rodriguez, which was really, really fun, where we discussed issues on campus pertaining to mental health specifically. And like Chris said, she did say she was going to try to advocate for those issues for Sac State. I also met with the Dean and Associate Dean of SSIS, and I did 2 classroom presentations as well.
Thank you. Now we're going to be moving forward to questions. Is there any questions for Veronica? Okay, seeing none, our next report is Sachi, Director of Undeclared Students. Sachi, may begin.
I would like to read a note. I'm so glad to see you all back to the campus again. Midterm season is here, and I know this last few weeks haven't been easy, including myself. But do remind yourself to see the light in this world, in yourself, and in others, because we see the light in you. Try hard and believe in yourself because you are stronger than you believe. Never hesitate to go looking for help or any information that you think to help you get success. This year is going to be an adventure, and I hope you're excited as I am. Okay, jumping to the internal committee updates. My favorite committee, ASI Finance and Budget Committee. We met on the October 4th and 18th, where we had a department presentation from SEO from Kila, Student Government from Sandra, and Business Administration from Mark. We also discussed the application changes on Student Development Grant, and we finalized the application. And for University Committee updates, my next meeting for Union Val is next semester. And for Friends of the Library, we met on October 14, where we visited Mini Makerspace and discussed the Friends Grants and End of the Year gift. For the strategic priority updates, 2.2.1 are completed with the Basic Needs Resource Fair. 1.3.1, the legislation 2022-2023 1036 passed on time. 2022 provide $500 to support the grant. And for 1.2.1, we had the meeting with Director of Business and Director of ECS to discuss about the speed networking, like on our initial thoughts, how the event will look like. And for the all board priority, I completed the 3.2.1, the CSSA one, which is really, really fun, I guess. It was so good. And coming to my office hours, replying mails, set up the and time for the classroom presentation, because sometimes I feel it's really hard to convince presentation just to, hard to convince from professor to give like at least allow 5 minutes for presentation. So I'm currently working on that. And we work on, I work on the priorities and our kickoff event as well, which was really successful. And for meetings and events, I started with Akela to give me some tips about the marketing stuff, and it helped me a lot. So I would encourage all work directors who has remaining the kickoff event. And I did the 101 with Lisa and Emily. They are amazing. They gave me a lot of stuff that I wasn't aware of it. Thank you, Dhruvisha, for bringing this idea to me. And we had the Safe Zone training, and I find it really useful, helpful, because I came to a lot of stuff that I wasn't aware of it. And yeah. And these are some of my cute pumpkin pictures that students paint on it. And I heard a lot of compliment. They are like, the weeks for midterm like really hectic, and that was much needed for the stress-free session. So I appreciate it. And yeah, that's it. Don't forget to look at the 2 pumpkins that I painted on it. I took a lot of efforts, 2 or 3 hours, to make that I am ASI logo. that was so challenging. And Avali, can you scroll down? This is me. I'm so adorable, I am.
All right, thank you. We're gonna move forward to the questions. Is there questions for Sachi? Chris?
What was your favorite pumpkin that you saw?
Sachi?
My own pumpkin.
Thank you. Is there any other questions for Sachi? Not a question, but for me, you have a way with words, and that sounds really corny, but I love your message to your Hornets. I always read it, even if you don't read it. And this is an outstanding board report. Thank you. Thank you for delivering. Thank you for sharing what you have been doing.
I'm trying myself to
kudos.
be proactive as I can.
Absolutely. Any other questions for Sachi? Okay, seeing none, we have our next board report, which is Urvashi, our Director of Graduate Studies.
Hi everyone, my contact information is mentioned there, and I'm going to move forward to the committee's update. So there was update on Graduate Student Policy Committee. They are working on a policy change for graduate studies. And I have a meeting tomorrow for one of the committees, and for the rest, there's no meeting yet, I'm sorry. And now moving on to strategic priority updates. One priority has been completed, which is 2.2.1, and 3.2.1, I have attended a CSSA plenary meeting, which has completed the minimum requirement of the strategic priority, but I would like to attend again in future. From 3.3.1, which is to promote board meetings, I am promoting it on my Instagram every week. Moving on to events, committees, and meetings. It's the next page. Okay, so I've been attending the committee meeting, and please scroll down, sir. Okay, so I've attended Dreamer Ellie meeting, and I got to know many things about the undocumented student, which I don't know before. I have attended the Safe Zone training, and I know very little about the LGBTQ committee from my brother, who is also part of that back in my home country. But after attending this meeting, I got to know a lot more things from if I'm pronouncing her name wrong, then excuse me for that. And from Joseph as well. Yeah, and in my office hours, I've been like meeting with Sandra or someone. And I would like to say thank you to Sandra for having a one-on-one meeting with me that day. It was, I felt very good, and I expressed my feelings to her honestly, how I was feeling that day. I felt very good, thank you so much. And also I have table at the Pride Fair. And I felt really good by supporting the committees which, I mean, for the students which don't get much. That's
Okay, thank you so much. We are going to be moving forward to our questions. Does anybody have any questions for Urvashi? Okay, I actually have something. Urvashi is working. She was able to find a graduate student during Pride Fair. She went and actually introduced, her and I were tabling, and I saw her take really good initiative in going out and good old Bill McChris, I know you're watching this. We saw you. Thank you for saying hi to us. Bill introduced us to a couple students who happened to be graduate students. So Urvashi and I teamed up, and we went out to look for graduate students, and we were very successful in finding one student that we're still in the works of getting his form in. Or he did it. Okay, so he did it. So that was mission accomplished. So Urvashi, I want to commend you for that because it takes a lot, and we know that students, time is money, I guess, for lack of a better word, and that it's complicated specifically for graduate students since it's more graduate-like, and I'm not really too sure what that entails because I'm not a graduate student, but I heard it's busy, so I want to give that kudos to Urvashi. Anything else? Or questions? Sorry. Okay, awesome. Great board reports, everybody. This is a way for you all to, show your constituents what you have been doing, show the advisors what you have been doing, and show the rest of your board members what you have been doing. So, just keep adding to that. Don't be concerned about your board report being lengthy. That is amazing if it's lengthy because that means that you're doing your job. Okay, we are gonna move forward to announcements. And again, we're following kind of like how we're supposed to do. So announcements open to you, second to last myself, and then Salma closes it out. Is there any announcements? Mark. What? Nice tie, Mark.
Thank you. That's good, huh? Okay, the 4th annual ASI Salsa Contest is Monday, the 31st, from 11:30 to 3:30. He's one of the contestants. And there'll probably be about 12 entries, and all of you are needed as judges. So you'll come by the accounting services, you'll have a little form to fill out, and pick the best salsa. So don't forget, Monday, 11:30 to 3:30, accounting services, and be ready for some spicy stuff. Bring some water, you're on your own for that. Milk and water.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Gina?
I have 4. They're not all exactly announcements per se, but first off, I'd like to thank AZ. You might have seen on his report that he joined my team at a retreat on Monday, which was about 40 of our employees, and did a little fireside chat. We asked them some questions. It was very well received. Our staff really, really loved it. Many of them don't get an opportunity to engage with students, so thank you, AZ, for taking the time to do that for us. By show of hands, who went to the How to Win at Life yesterday? 1, 2, oh, okay, next time we're gonna get you in the spring. How to Win at Life was less than well attended, so I'm gonna be hounding you next time to attend. But it is important. It's financial literacy in action. It's a good exercise, it's fun, and you get a chance to either win a parking permit or a bookstore coupon. And it's an incentive opportunity. So look for that in spring. I will be bringing it up again. Go to the homecoming game. Chris said so. You went to the game on Saturday. It was amazing and very late and amazing, and the fans rushed the field. It was amazing. But it's kind of historic right now. It'll be a great opportunity besides the fact that homecoming is really an opportunity to engage with alumni. There's going to be a lot of events going on in the parking lot during tailgating. So please take an opportunity to walk around and engage with all the folks that will be out there as well. And then just a reminder that the voting center and the welcome center is open for drop-off ballots. So let anybody know if they're prepared and they have their ballots ready, they can start early by doing dropping off at the welcome center. So it's open from 8 to 5 each day for drop-off.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Sachi?
This is ending. Okay. So today is the New Year for Hindus after Diwali, and this is a small treat from myself to everybody. After the meeting, we will have samosa party in the mango lassi in the board of direct in the kitchen. So please come and celebrate.
That's just clarification, the kitchen inside the ASI office, not just some random kitchen. Any other announcements? Adderall?
Okay, so the School of Music is having their marching band auditions for next semester. So if you're a band geek and love to bang on drums, or just play any instrument, not just drums. They haven't announced an official date yet, but they are getting names and lists. Check out their Instagram, Marching Band Start Date. And there's a link in there to how to register and the requirements that you need. I will say, wear the most comfiest clothes that you can. I myself am a band geek, so don't try to do it in jeans. So I did, and they ripped. But yeah.
Chris?
Just a reminder, the Monster Mash is this Friday. Please do come out. It is from 9 to 12. We are doing, RHA is hosting, we're emceeing, we're doing games, we're doing a costume contest. So please come dressed up. We would love to see y'all's costumes. Remember, costumes, can't have face masks, face painting's okay, no weapons, stuff like that. And we hope to see you guys there.
Veronica?
Okay, also, there is a rally for Prop 1 that will be held on this Friday, the 28th, from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. And I'm not sure exactly what the area is called, but it's like the stage area. The Cerna Plaza. So that would be really cool if you guys could go, and I also will be speaking at it, so.
Thank you. Tesh?
So ECS JC Kickoff event is on 1st November. There will be more than 12 clubs, and Dean will be there to talk with the students about the issue with the department or anything they want to talk about. Also, as Sachi mentioned, today is a new year, so I really wish and hope that you guys will achieve everything that you want in your life in this year. And I really wish you all the best for this year. Also in this year, especially on this day, we just smile. With the enemy also, we'll make friends. Eat food, gathering, wear a new clothes, just sit around, go everybody's house, relatives, friends, eat their snacks. Yeah. So yeah, that's it.
Lexa?
So we will be tabling this Friday, and the setup is 1 to 4 p.m. So the first people that are going to be tabling, I will be contacting you because we do have to provide our own tent and table, and then they have requested to create an activity, and they will give us candy to give out. So I will be working with those tabling that day to see what activity we should do. And then the other one is I emailed the folks that are on the Street Party 2.1.1 Engage in Wellness Activity Sponsorships Partnerships with the board recently because I chair the Wellness Safety Sexual Assault Committee, and we're coming up with an event. So we would love the board support. If you're interested in even learning about it, would like to know what it's about, please let me know. We're open to any suggestions, and I'm really proud of the committee because they've taken initiative, and it's a really awesome event that we're planning, which is eventing, and they've thought of every single little thing to the point of like creating a survey and seeing what their emotions was when they entered the event and their emotions when they left the event, which is pretty cool because it let us know if the event, was effective and, if we should continue doing it.
Thank you. Z?
So this Monday, October 31st, we're having the NSMX EDU kickoff event. There will be pizza, candy, and music and games. So I invite all the clubs, all the staff, all the faculty, everyone. We want to see everybody there. Have fun from 12 to 3. So we appreciate it if y'all could come out, support, have fun with us, as well as dress up. But like I'm pretty sure that's a lot for like the whole campus. No mask, no face mask. So yeah. Oh, and it's gonna be in the first floor university. The Union first floor Redwood room.
Chris?
Sorry, one last thing. It's just more of like a statement. It is Halloween weekend this weekend. Halloween's on Monday. Please, everyone, be safe. Let's have safe, responsible fun. It is Halloween. Don't do anything stupid.
Rob?
Just to add on to that quickly, if you're able to, make sure to discourage folks from cultural appropriation with their outfits, right? And what I mean by that is that we don't dress as someone else's culture in a way that is meaningless, correct? So just remind folks, I know people like to have a lot of fun and get wild and crazy, but we need to be respectful and remember what kind of campus we're on, okay? Thank you.
JD?
Don't forget about the ASI Safe Rides. So there should be no reason anyone is drinking and driving this weekend. That is a big no-no. And if I find out you're doing that, I will hunt you down.
Dervisha?
Yeah. Happy New Year, first of all. And thank you, Seji, for the samosas. I've been craving them. We have about 6,900 approximately money left. Please use the money. Right now is a really great time for you to email me and ask me and put in the legislation. Also, APITA Club is doing a recruiting event on Halloween, October 31st, 5 p.m. in the patio. APITA, Asian Pacific Islander Desi American Club, is doing a recruiting event on Halloween, October 31st in the patio of Roundtable Pizza in the University Union. Dress up, you might get an amazing prize. Also, APITA Center staff is going to be there just to mingle. It will be amazing. And just free pizza. If you don't have anywhere else to be, just come visit us. And that's about it. Just email me or meet me in the office if you need access to any of your money. And that's it.
Is there any other announcements before I say mine and then Salma closes us out? Okay, great. So, I hear you guys playing all these events, and it's awesome that you guys are announcing it, but we have an Outlook calendar. You guys have the ability to send out calendar invites, and you guys, per op rules, and I'm going to encourage you to read the op rules that I revised just a minute ago, and that we voted on. Send out calendar invites for these events. Hold your board members accountable. Send out calendar invites, and they're responsible for answering yes or no. Okay, so that's just something I'm going to plug in. It's going to help you, and it's, practice this for when you go out into your career. These are good things that you guys are laying on the board and that you are very privileged to have access to. Not just the Outlook calendar, but I'm just saying, practicing these little things. Legislation training, I think I have either 1 or 2 more dates that I'm offering it. If you are not able to attend, I sent calendar invites for that, and again, I asked you, say yes or no, because I'm a student as well. I am reserving this time in my busy schedule, just like you guys, to give you guys this hour training. So just please be respectful of that. Answer yes or no. Again, it's totally optional, but this is something I'm going to encourage you all to know how to do, just in case you have to submit legislation and if you have any very basic questions, I can answer that, and you guys are well knowledged. Office hours. Again, I'm going to invite you to look at the op rules that we just voted on. Office hours are for ASI events. Your constituents, not your constituents events, but anything related to ASI, that's for your office hours. If you're going out and doing some recreational stuff, just because you don't want to be in the office hours, that's not acceptable. Your office hours are for ASI, and you're required per op rule to be at your office hours. Time that you're supposed to give me in advance for whether you're going to be in your office hours, again, look at the op rules, because I am going to hold you to that accountability. I'm going to share with you that there's been a lot of flexibility in that, but that's going to stop. Okay? Dreamer, Ally, and Safe Zone. I'm so happy to see it in most of you guys' board reports, but just remember that I set a deadline for the end of this month. If I'm not mistaken, I said December 8th, but I'll look back and I'll email you that reminder. If you need special accommodations for that, please communicate it with me so we can arrange something, because that's something, again, per op rules that we have to do as board members. And I am able to work with you, and campus partners are able to work with you in order for you to be successful in that. Okay, so just let me know if the times don't work for you, or there's something going on to where you are not, you haven't completed the training, or you're not able to because of schedules. I understand that we're all very busy, and I think this is one of the most involved, extracurricularly involved boards. So I understand, because me too. So if you guys need help in completing those, please let me know as soon as possible. I'll send out a follow-up email with that. We had, and I just saw this on my calendar, a Triple SP event. Okay, yeah, Triple SP presentation next Friday, November 4th from 10:30 to noon. There was a calendar invite sent on that. This counts as one of the presentations that you have to do. It would be awesome if we show up. Again, Triple SP is a campus partner. They support us. We have to support them. So this is to meet with their student employees, but you're able to give and let them know about ASI and what the board of directors does. Put a face to the name, like I've been saying. Calendar invites, already said that. Safe rides, JD beat me to it, but yes, please encourage your constituents to use safe rides in the times where it's either homecoming, whether it's, when there's going to be some sort of big event, okay? Big event with a lot of activity. To our constituents, if you don't know what safe ride is, it's basically free money, $40 per person per semester. So if you have taken Uber or Lyft, you are able to get that money reimbursed. Go to the ASI website, go to Safe Rides, and fill out the form, and you should be able to get up to $40 back. That is also with vehicle safety inspections and smog, I believe, smog changes. But everything is on the ASI website. Again, I would encourage you guys to post it in your positional accounts. Again, just, this is a service that essentially our students paid for through their tuition. They should use it, okay? I'm going to share with you guys something that I learned back in elementary school, and I'll plug it in. I went to Willow Ridge Elementary School in Michigan, Grand Ledge, Michigan. That's near Michigan State. This is something that I'm going to share with you. Treat people the way you want to be treated. That was the elementary school's slogan. That's the correct word. It was the slogan. Treat people the way you want to be treated. I'm going to end on that note. Just sit with it. And Salma, do you have anything?
Nope.
All right. We are adjourning this meeting at 4:52 p.m.